Today we're arguing for grey over black. I'm near Lismore in northern New South Wales, and I'm talking to John and Glenn about their choices with running Greyman cattle and why they're outperforming the blacks. Stay tuned for that and some tips on managing wet and soggy country. Glenn, John, a little bit of details about the property. How large is the property?
Dad's got several properties here, a few across the road adjoining. It's just about 680 acres, plus another property at York Lake near Casino.
And you're on floodplain country here, aren't you? About 300 acres of this went underwater in the recent Lismore floods?
Yep, in the big floods we had 268 acres underwater.
Wow.
So yeah, that's a bit of a record. Bigger than 74, eh Dad?
Yes.
We've got a self-replacing herd, so basically, like a lot of people on the north coast here, run that touch of Brahman. Dad breeds the cattle that suit this environment, and then because we are crossbreeding, we do get some black calves which will sell for the sale yards. Those better finished Murray Grey, second cross, third cross calves will go to the butcher shops, and some of the F1 breeders, if we've got extras, they're highly sought after at sale yards too.
So the lighter stuff puts on weight quicker?
Right. Yep.
Yeah. And so Glenn, you sort of focusing more on the lighter coloured cattle as part of your breeding program now?
Yeah, we are focusing a bit more on lighter cattle, especially with buffalo fly too, with that buffalo season getting longer.
Yep.
Years ago it was sort of for 3 months, now it's sort of 5, and if you do get a bad year, you are treating twice.
Yeah,
so
right.
It's sort of the tags that last 3 months are just not lasting long enough.
So with you, what are you chasing in terms of your cattle when you're breeding them? What sort of characteristics do you mainly go for?
Basically looking for that easy care, easy finished type animal, something that fattens quickly, low maintenance. That's where the lighter cattle come into it. And something that appeals to both the butcher market and obviously that trade sector.
Because John, you've always worked off farm as well, so
Yeah,
you've always managed your cattle sort of on weekends and after hours.
No, you've got to have that animal that'll virtually come to you, because if you don't get that, if you walk in the paddock and they go to the other corner of the paddock, they're out the door for me, they're gone.
And obviously you can't check on them for their health reasons. If you need to do anything with them, they're quiet, they come easy, it's low stress. It's low stress on the animal, which is better for them. Low stress on us, which is good.
Now Glenn, just a little bit more on your breeding strategy here. You've got your brand new Brahman bull in the paddock here with us. You're not going to put him over your maiden heifers, are you? You're going to put Murray Grey over Murray Grey to begin with?
Yep, we put a low birth weight Murray Grey sire over our maiden heifers.
Yep.
Basically, with work and stuff, we can't watch them 24/7.
Your dad was telling me off camera he only had to pull one calf this year.
Yep, so this year we've only pulled one heifer out of 25. That calf survived. The year before that we didn't pull any, and the year before that we didn't pull any either. So out of 75 calves we've pulled one out of our heifers.
So you've got some purebred Murray Grey calves in this paddock here, and then you've got some Murray Grey cross Brahman calves. So second time round, those heifers will go under a Brahman?
Yeah, so the straight Murray Greys, though, on their second calf and third, they'll go back to that Brahman bull to breed the F1 replacements.
And the black ones in the paddock here, you were saying off camera too that you'll get more for them in the sale yard just simply because they're black.
Yep.
But they'll underperform compared to your lighter colours.
Yeah, they'll perform the same or under because of the buffalo fly and the heat effect. So it's a good market to sell them on to people who just chase black cattle.
So we need to get people out of the mindset of just chasing one colour, and we need to start thinking about how cattle suit different environments and chasing the environment, don't we?
Yeah, well at the end of the day it's how the cattle perform, it's how they hang up, how they taste. You don't eat the coat, so the coat colour doesn't really matter. They just seem to, with the heat in our area and that, with the buffalo flies condition, if it's hot, the black they're not grazing.
So the black ones are sitting out under the
black
tree,
ones will be camped up underneath the tree.
Yep.
Anything with that touch of Brahman and that lighter coat colour will be out grazing.
Yeah. So it's horses for courses, mate. People need to think about where they're putting their cattle before they think about breeds, don't they?
Yeah, it's well, basically we breed for the environment here.
Now Glenn, just behind us here is a perfect example of what you're chasing, isn't it? You want to go more to chase replacement heifers. You want to produce a lot more of them.
So we've got an F1 heifer there, getting an F2 calf.
Yep.
In the future we could look at going down, especially on the north coast here, is just breeding those replacement heifers for people.
And you see that's where the future is for your operation?
Yeah, I think there's a key market, especially on the north coast, with those smaller operators buying their replacement females, not so much retaining them in their herd.
Yep.
So going back to a straight Murray Grey herd, Brahman bull, to get those F1 first cross calves.
Now you're doing some interesting things here on the property as well to cope with the high rainfall here and keep these cattle nice and healthy. The first one is your feeding systems, and your second one is your tracks and your bridges and your maintenance. Let's go and have a look at that.
Yep, sounds good.
One of your strategies for finishing off, Glenn, with these cattle is this crib feeder here, isn't it? So just explain to me a little bit about how this works and what you're doing.
So basically the crib feed with the gates only allows the calves to access the feed.
Yep.
Just gives them that little bit of extra nutrition.
Just that finishing off punch.
Yeah, just finishes them off, get that nice fat cover on them, allowing us to sell those calves at 8 to 9 months old straight into a butcher shop.
So you got quiet calves, well finished with a little bit of grain through the crib feeder to finish them off.
Yep.
How long do you have them on the grain in the crib feeder?
The calves will probably start on the grain about 5 months.
Yep.
And they don't get a lot, so they'll graze during the day. They might come in and get a bit of grain.
Yep.
It just allows them to get that nice good fat cover.
And I suppose when it comes time to weaning, there's not that weaning shock on them either, is there?
Yeah, no. So when we wean...
At what age do you wean them?
8 to 9 months of age, we wean them around here, depending on the season.
Yep.
So this year we're a good year, so we'll carry them through the 9 months because the cows can handle that. So we can lot feed them.
Yep.
For a month or so, just to maybe get them to that higher carcass weight.
Now it's still pretty wet here, isn't it, mate?
Yeah, it's still very wet after the rain.
Keeping the cattle off parts of your property has been really important to you as well. You've got a multi-species mix in here. You've got chicory, millet, ryegrass, clover, all sorts of things growing here.
Yep. That's part of our recovery plan after the floods, where this was all underwater twice for a number of weeks. So a lot of the weeds come back after that, so we're just helping the pastures recover.
And you want to go with multi-species wherever possible?
Yeah, we've got running multi-species. Just find the versatility is a bit better. If one's not performing, the other one will.
And I suppose having the two electric hot wires here, you don't really need to worry about a close fence spacing. A lot of people over post their fences, don't they?
Yeah, that's what I find works for us. And the wire over the tape, because the tape blows in the wind and the tape will wear and break.
All right, let's talk now your crossings again.
Yep. These cows are just fine, aren't they?
Now this is one of your larger crossings that you rely on. You've got about 60 acres over here, and this is your sole access to those 60 acres.
Yep, because of the drains we have running this property. Yeah, this is one of the, on this part of the flat here.
Yep.
This is our main access to the 60 acres.
So you're running two large pipes through the centre, and then you've just built it up a bit and you've put down the concrete mats over the top and dug them in on either end so that you don't get water flow digging them up.
Yeah, basically just to stop the end of the mats lifting.
Yep.
They're dug in, and then there's also the steel Rio drive down in to hold them in place.
Now you have to peg these about every metre, don't you?
Yeah. Yep.
Otherwise the water will get under anything and will lift anything if you don't peg it down.
Look, water's a powerful force. It will move anything. So hopefully with when it dries out and we get some gravel on top of this,
yep.
It will hold down, because the other day with that 400 mil of rain, this would have been 200 mil underwater, even just with
400 mil.
Yep. And that's a regular occurrence we have here, just that low pressure system come through.
Yep.
That can happen on a normal year 2-3 times a year. Then obviously we get those larger floods where it would be a good 2 metres over our head.
Well, John and Glenn, thank you so much for spending the time with us and taking us over what is a particularly interesting property that you've got going on here, and a great discussion about your choices in breeding cattle to suit the environment for performance. I think the big take homes of this are: get your access points right, get your feed for your cattle up off the ground and in a dry location. Use breeds that are intelligently chosen for the environment that you're going to want them to perform in. And don't overpost your electric fences. If you use electric, you can actually get away with very minimal infrastructure, can't you?
Yeah.
It's cheaper putting that than with steel posts and wire.
Thank you guys very much for the time that you've spent here today. And John, can I also thank you for your lifetime of service to the Rural Fire Brigade? I believe that you got an OEM recently for that. Well done, mate.
Done 50 years the other day with married.
And 50 years married.
And 50 years married. That's another handshake, mate. Well done. Well done. Gives us something to look up to, doesn't it?
It does. They're great role models, Mum and Dad.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, guys. You get great stories like this every week.
You always got to enjoy your farming with cattle, and I always find the Greyman doing that.